Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hopefully you guys are doing great. We got another Watchmen update here. President Trump threatening Federal Reserve officials with firing just hours before their decision on the December rates. And NATO in a state of emergency over balloons. Have you heard this one before? Well, it's happening over Europe. China and Russia probing air defenses of Korea. They were just doing Japan the other day, so I guess it's Korea's turn. The EPA, yes, that EPA, does an about-face on climate change. Their website looks very different. Major quake in Japan with mega quake warnings, having U.S. soldiers supposed to go home to their bases out of fear of a major mega quake over in Japan. We got additional Mexican tariffs and wearing a Charlie Kirk shirt in a blue city. What does that look like? Well, one of our watchmen did it and has some words about it. And remembering an event that should not be forgotten. Yeah, something happened over the summer that you've probably forgotten, and a watchman brings it up. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates. If you have something to share, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. That does get to the right place. First-hand information you can provide, conversations that you've overheard, or if you ask store employees, or if you have information from your workplace, please do pass that along using that word update. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people with retirement accounts like you. If you have stocks and bonds in your retirement account and you're kind of tired of it going up and down, Jonathan and his team at Genesis Gold can help you transfer some or all of that into physical precious metals that you can hold in your own hands. If you have questions about that, they can answer them. There is a free gold guide down in the description down below and the pinned comment. Lithuania declares a state of emergency over balloons coming in from Belarus. Now, this has happened here and there, but now they're declaring a state of emergency, and they are asking NATO for air support. These balloons, for the most part, seem to be smugglers moving stuff across the border, but they repeatedly are disrupting Lithuania's airspace, and there's the question of what else could be put on these balloons. So far, it's just cigarettes and other things that they're trying to smuggle across the border, apparently. But how long until Belarus decides to put other stuff on there? All right, South Korea had to scramble jets after Russian and Chinese military aircraft approached their borders. South Korea set up fighter jets on Tuesday after 7 Russian and 2 Chinese military aircraft entered its air defense zone. Now, we've seen Japan probed, we've seen Lithuania being probed by balloons, and now Korea. It looks like this is a pattern and certainly seems more provocative. The Chinese have their aircraft carrier going around, and they're going around poking everybody. They've been poking Japan, and now they're poking Korea. It just seems like they're kind of hankering for a fight. At some point, they may just succeed. And, of course, the Russian military having spare warplanes to use to harass Korea makes you wonder how things are going over in Ukraine. All right, the U.S. Army has announced that it will develop small-scale refineries inside the United States to ensure domestic supply of critical minerals for defense and military purposes as the United States and Western allies look to reduce their dependence on China. Now, rare earth minerals, this has been a big buzzword. This has been a big thing that everyone's been talking about for years. And everyone keeps opening up new rare earth mineral mines. Like, we're going to mine more. Well, that's not the problem. The problem isn't that we don't mine these minerals. The problem is that we don't refine the minerals. The problem is China does all the refining of them because it's a nasty, disgusting process that results in lots of non-EPA friendly materials and chemicals being produced. The Chinese, they just dump it in the desert. Which, excuse me, which is a, I mean, it works, right? Excuse me, I'm eating a peanut again. Anyway, so China out there dumps it in the desert. Saudi Arabia is talking about doing basically the same thing. But then the United States is like, well, we need to have refineries inside the United States that can make at least some small amounts of these materials. Most of which are used as magnets. Some of them are used like in touch screens. Some of them are used for other various purposes, for specialty metals. But all of them are absolutely needed, especially for high-tech gear like used in the military. All right, President Trump held a rally last night in Pennsylvania. It was a regular Trump rally that he said a whole bunch of stuff. A few very interesting things came up for sure. One of the things that came up was after suspending all auto pen signatures of the previous president, President Trump has said that Jerome Powell and other Fed appointees of the Federal Reserve appear to have been signed by auto pen. Oh wait, those are all suspended. So what happens to all those officials who were appointed with the auto pen? Or appointed by the auto pen, if you know what I'm saying. Well, this is happening just before the Federal Reserve announces its decision on rate cuts or no rate cuts for December. Seems like a shot across the bow, President Trump saying, if you don't do what I say, if you don't do what I want, we're going to have to find out whether you actually should be sitting there in the first place. We'll see where this goes, but I'm sure the Federal Reserve officials are not liking what has just been said. Okay, back to the EPA. The Environmental Protection Agency has removed all references to human-caused climate change on its website. Yeah, if you're like, when pigs fly, well, today, the bacon is soaring over the clouds, apparently, because the EPA has taken all that stuff down under, I'm sure, their protest and under orders by the White House. But good to see. Good to see that common sense and real science has returned to some government agencies. All right, President Trump says, you won't have to fire too many people from the EPA because a lot are going to quit over that, I'm sure. President Trump says the United States will allow sale of some NVIDIA AI chips to some in China. Now, note both those words, some. So some NVIDIA H200 artificial intelligence chips will be sold to, quote, approved users in China and elsewhere. Now, President Trump is tacking on a 25% export tariff. Is it still a tariff? It's something. Apparently, there's going to be a 25% tax on those items before they can get to China. Now, China can't get these things from anywhere else. They are kind of unique and kind of important to artificial intelligence. So China supposedly has their own chips, but there are special applications where they need NVIDIA's chips. And NVIDIA wants to sell them to them. And President Trump's like, well, then we should get paid and we should be able to dictate who gets the chips. We'll see how that goes in the near future. Major Japanese earthquake injures 30, but not nearly as bad as it could be because Japan's just on top of things like they normally are. Damaging roads and buildings. Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi said 30 people were injured from the quake off the coast of the Amori region, which triggered tsunami waves of up to 2 feet high. So that's not too bad. A mega quake warning has been issued, though. They're warning that a possible 8.0 or greater could occur in the next number of days. If this was a foreshock as opposed to an aftershock, that could happen. If that looks like the case, we could be looking at a 98-foot tsunami or taller. That's what an 8.0 would look like under bad circumstances. So this is a big deal. And just to give you an idea, because warnings go out all the time. Susan said that all U.S. military personnel were recalled to their duty posts. This is a concern to U.S. military over in Japan. So they were all told to report back to their military base so that they could be prepared in case a mega quake does happen. President Trump has slapped Mexico with the threat of an additional 5% tariff if it does not immediately provide additional water to help U.S. farmers. Now, there's deals on some of the rivers down along Texas, and Mexico has been violating these treaties for quite some time. They have not been allowing enough water to flow through. They've been just hoarding all the water and then playing the victim like, oh, well, we're poor over here. We need the water. Whereas Texas is like, we keep getting, screwed over here. Like, why is this happening? Like, these people keep stealing our water and nobody does anything about it because, they're poor in Mexico. Well, yeah, but there's a deal, and we've already threatened to cut water on other areas where the United States controls the water flow into Mexico, but that doesn't seem to be getting through. So a 5% tariff has been ordered, and I'm sure that's going to escalate if Mexico doesn't comply. Heirloom Acres says molten salt thorium reactors, such as the one that China just made operational over in China, whereas the United States doesn't have any. These were developed in the United States. China came here years ago, looked at the plans, then went home and went to work, while we just shelved the plans. Benefits of these reactors are that they use nuclear waste to start the process, which uses something we already have, and we have issues getting rid of it, and the risk of meltdown is very low even if the grid shuts down. So safe, so cheap, and recycles toxic material. United States needs to get on the ball, but doesn't even have plans for a thorium reactor on inside the United States yet. All right, converting dormant plants to liquefied natural gas production needs to happen also. Yeah. Next generation nuclear power is huge. It is clean, it is efficient, and it is very, very safe if done properly. And the United States has demonized it for far too long, so has Europe, whereas China over there is building nuclear reactors like it's going out of style. There's something that the United States and the West needs to get on. Jeff says, Utah, I ignored reports of people financing credit card purchases, but every credit card purchase I make from $5 on, they offer to let me finance it. Did Biden do that much damage to our economy and society? Yeah, that people who are buying something for $5 need to finance it. But also he clearly destroyed food production. Well, the stuff on the shelves, is it even food anymore? That's a good question. Zach says silver leasing rate at the London over-the-counter shot up 8% again. That's huge, friends. The fact that you are having to pay massive amounts of money in order to borrow silver. This does not look like the LBMA, or the London Bullion Exchange, is swimming in an ocean of physical silver, as reported by TD Securities and by the LBMA. They're saying they have plenty of silver, and yet why are they leasing it from China? We got JP Morgan Chase out there leasing it from China. We got all this happening. Where is all the silver? Well, it's gone to Asia. That's where it's gone. Twinkle Twinkle says, wore a Charlie Kirk shirt to the grocery store. Bread in my basket ended up smashed. Cart ran into me hard and purposefully. Blue states suck, but I'm stuck. Some of you guys are stuck in blue areas or blue states, but sometimes you got to keep your head down, and sometimes you got to stand up. And it's up to you to make smart choices for you and your family, for sure, right? C says, Steve, What will stop governments from making gold and silver illegal to own? Some questions here. We'll get into these. What's to stop them from making gold and silver illegal to own? What stops governments from confiscating them and giving us fiat currency equivalent in exchange? Now, I'll tell you what, there is a second reason here in the United States as to what stops the U.S. federal government from doing that. And yes, it's the second. The second, and all of our boomsticks make that very, very difficult for the government to try to do. Because if they start going house to house trying to confiscate everybody's bullion, it's not going to go well for them. And that would definitely cause some serious insurrection-y type stuff from the people who can make insurrection permanent. Anyway, what stops governments from confiscating them and giving us fiat currency equivalent in exchange? Well, the simple fact is, nothing's to stop them from trying, I guess, but how are they really going to implement it? If you have paper currency, paper digital assets of promises of silver, promises of gold, yeah, they can just reach into those accounts and they can just change the numbers. They can do that, or they can just change the numbers to dollars and give you all the dollars, and you don't really have any say in it. If your stuff is in the banking areas, it can be confiscated. It can be credited to you in just dollars. But if it's physical and it's in your home, and they have to come to your house, okay, well, how many houses do they have to go to? And do they know the right houses to go to? And when they get to the house, are they going to be able to find it? Do you keep it in your gold storage area? Or like some people, do you have it in the bank of PVC buried somewhere? Because that makes it awfully hard for them to find, right? Make sure you draw a treasure map for your family members, though. Anyway, with so many countries trying to go to gold backing, that they will need to take individuals what they own in order to back the governments. Well, the U.S. government can just print money, and that's what they're going to do until it stops working, at which point they're not really going to be able to pay the goon squad to come to your house, are they? There's a thought. The fact that precious metals are so valuable, why would governments not fight to own the biggest shares? Well, think about it this way. There's lots of money that the government can go after and take. Why would they take this type of money? Now, you and I realize that that's real money and that they should do that, but governments tend to just want to do the easiest thing that fixes the problem temporarily. So if they need dollars, are they going to come after your gold and silver? Not unless it's the easiest thing that they can do. Now, if very few people are affected by the order, that makes it easier on the government. But them having to go house to house looking for stuff amongst a population that has a tendency to have boomsticks right next to their gold and silver, you can see how that would be not an exciting idea for most federal officers. So those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Sukanya says, from northern Arizona, I see more shrinkflation lately. For example, milk cartons are several ounces smaller, packages are getting smaller. I started eating organic only a few years ago. I've noticed that several of my to-go foods have changed their packaging to reflect that they are non-GMO rather than organic anymore. So I have eliminated them from my diet. My favorite eggs are back in stock, but they are now $8.99 rather than $5.49 a dozen. So prices up significantly and sizes down. Paula says Walmart is using the same AI software that Chime is using. Chime has theirs pretty well trained. She doesn't talk about that she might not be able to answer all your questions like the new Walmart is, but I'm telling you, it's getting harder and harder to talk to a human being ever. I've been waiting on some packages. They were ordered 11/28, Black Friday, supposed to be here on the 6th. And they are still not here. And they held them up in Atlanta all weekend long. And it does no good to call Walmart or UPS. They wouldn't know what the problem is, so you're just at their mercy of their system, letting you know it's delayed. It's been delayed 3 times now as we all keep calling into these customer service centers when they say this may be recorded for training. That's right, we're helping them train their AI so they don't have to deal with humans evermore. Jim says, for the person that stopped buying salad dressing, I did the same because of the seed oils in them. I now buy Primal Kitchen dressing. No seed oils in them. They make dressings, barbecue sauce, special sauces for hamburgers, and chicken dipping sauce. But they are expensive, but I'm willing to pay the price to get away from the seed oil. And this is the important thing that maybe you've forgotten about, but let's touch base on it again. Bella says, am I the only one wondering if the murders of the Hortman couple and Senator Hoffman, who was popped the same night, and whom lived down the road from the Hortmans, has anything to do with what's now coming to light in Minnesota, all the scams and all the billions of dollars stolen? Shortly before her murder, Mrs. Hortman expressed that she feared for her life after casting the deciding vote to end the state-funded health care coverage for people without papers. She voted with the Republicans against the Democrats by casting that deciding vote. A few days later, she and her husband didn't survive. The guy who took them out was some kind of mercenary working on some kind of commission work, doing work for Waltz. And where was he from? South Africa. Mrs. Hortman and her husband gave their lives doing the right thing for their state and their constituents. I hope it wasn't in vain and that the people responsible receive some serious prison time for this debacle. These people are heroes in my eyes, even if they were Democrats. Notice how silent everything has become ever since these people were taken out. It's deafening. The guy was caught with a hit list of 45 government officials and was from South Africa. Hopefully you didn't forget about that, and let's keep not forgetting about that because that is truly an abomination when you have political assassinations inside the United States, and they should not be forgotten or swept under the rug. All right, friends, if you want some more information from Genesis Gold Group, there's a link right there or down in the pinned comment. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.